I was driving along Interstate 70, the road deserted and completely dark. The clock on the dashboard read 2:17 a.m. Just me and my truck. Suddenly, my headlights illuminated something ahead. A man standing by the roadside was thumbing for a ride. His face looked pale under the headlights, his eyes glimmering. "Need some help?" I asked, lowering the window just enough for him to hear. He approached, a thin and weary face. "I'm heading west. Can you give me a ride?" His voice was low, almost a whisper, but what made me shudder was the intense stare he held. I hesitated for a moment. "Sure, hop in." As soon as he got in, the air inside the cab felt heavy. I started the engine, and we continued our journey, the silence between us becoming unbearable. I tried to break the ice. "What brings you out here at this hour?" He didn't respond immediately. When he finally spoke, it was as if he was thinking aloud. "Life brought me here, I guess." His behavior soon became stranger. He began to move compulsively, as if nervous or anxious. At one point, he started murmuring to himself, disconnected words that made me even more uneasy. "Everything all right there?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He turned to me with a piercing gaze. "Do you believe in fate, Jake?" The fact that he knew my name without me telling him made my blood run cold. "How do you know my name?" He just smiled. "I know a lot more about you than you think. Look, I think it's best if you get off here." I have a delivery to make and I'm running late." He didn't move, just kept smiling. "Jake, do you think you can escape what's destined to happen?" I saw a service station ahead and decided to act. "I'll stop there to refuel, and then you can get off, okay?" When I stopped at the station, I turned off the engine and, in one quick motion, opened the door and ran outside. "You can't escape fate, Jake." I ran into the station looking for help. The attendant looked at me in surprise. "Man, you have to help me. There's a guy in my truck, he's dangerous." The attendant seemed to hesitate, but before he could do anything, the stranger appeared at the door, his eyes fixed on me. Terror paralyzed me for a moment, but then I saw a back exit in the store. I ran towards it, feeling my heart nearly explode in my chest. Behind me, I heard footsteps and his low, disturbing laugh. I went out the back door and found myself in a dark alley. I looked around, desperate, searching for any way to escape. That's when I felt a cold hand on my shoulder. The traffic guards saw me acting strangely and came to talk to me. I spent the night explaining what had happened to the guard and her partner, and there was no trace of anything in my truck, nor had the attendant seen the guy who was following me. I drove away with my truck, not knowing if it was all in my head or if this craziness I just told you about really happened. I received a call on my radio, which crackled loudly, like a scream in the silence of the truck cab. "Mike, we need you to deliver an urgent shipment to a military base. It's confidential. Leave immediately." The voice on the other end was cold and impersonal, almost robotic. I stared at the radio with suspicion, but accepted the task. It wasn't the first time I had done urgent deliveries, but this one felt different. I arrived at the pickup point and was greeted by two men in suits, which was already strange. One of them, with a vacant look and a slight smile, handed me a document I signed without reading. He pointed to the cargo, a large, block metal box. Something in the box emitted a faint humming, as if it were alive. "Don't open it, don't stop. Go straight to the base," the man said. With every mile that passed, the feeling of being watched grew. It didn't take long for me to notice a black car in my rearview mirror. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but as I drove on, the car followed my every move with eerie precision. The clock struck midnight when the car began to act more aggressively, flashing its headlights and approaching dangerously. I tried to shake it off, speeding up and maneuvering the truck down the winding road, but it was useless. Damn, what the hell is this? The cargo began to make noises, a metallic hum. Something was wrong, very wrong. I tried to stay calm, but every minute felt like an eternity. In a desperate act, I abruptly stopped the truck and jumped out of the cab. I ran to the back and opened the box. What I saw inside made me wish I had never taken this delivery. It was a container filled with a dark, bubbling liquid, emitting a sinister glow and intense heat. It was something dangerous for sure, deadly. The black car stopped a few meters away, and two figures emerged, armed and with predatory looks. They came at me, and I didn't think twice. I fought the first one before he could even speak. I used everything I knew, every trick, every blow I learned in my decades on the road. With every hit, every movement, the desperation grew. I felt a strong blow to my head and fell to the ground, my vision blurring. As my world darkened, I heard one last sound, the metallic hum of the cargo, now free and more threatening than ever. And then, everything went silent. I woke up the next day in a hospital with 10 police officers in my room. They made me sign several confidentiality agreements, and I had a suspicious 3-day internment. I think something left my memory very foggy about the last few days. I was in the middle of the Nevada desert. The radio was broken, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the sound of the truck's engine. Taking that night freight seemed like a good idea at the time. We needed the money, and this route, despite its reputation, was just another road. But something was wrong that night. I remember the stories I heard at gas stations and roadside diners, tales of truckers who'd disappeared. I laughed at those stories before, but now in the darkness, they seemed much more real. Then I saw an old, rusty pickup truck stopped on a shoulder, its taillights blinking intermittently. Instinct told me to keep driving, but something stronger, maybe compassion, maybe curiosity, made me slow down and stop. I turned off the engine and got out of the truck. I called out, but the only response was the sound of the wind. The pickup's door was open, but there was no sign of anyone. Inside, everything seemed normal, except for one detail, an old porcelain doll on the passenger seat, its eyes seemingly following me. A chill ran down my spine. I looked around, but the dark night revealed only shadows of everything. As I returned to the truck, something made me stop, a noise, soft and indistinct, coming from my truck's radio. I ran back and got into the cab, locking the door behind me. The radio, which had been broken for days, was tuning in to static, but behind the noise, I could swear I heard heavy breathing. I shifted into gear and sped off, my heart racing. It felt like something was following me. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw a dark figure moving faster than any human should be able to. Accelerating as much as I could, I looked ahead, and there, in the middle of the road, was the same pickup truck, now with its lights off. I tried to swerve, but the truck veered off the road, crashing into rocks and coming to an abrupt stop. When I got out of the truck, I no longer saw the pickup truck or whatever seemed to be following me. My truck wouldn't start, so I locked myself in the cab and tried to sleep. At dawn, a truck passed by, helped me call a tow truck. I haven't told anyone about this until now. I don't think any of my friends would believe me. If you liked our videos, give us a thumbs up and subscribe.